500 quid, yeah.
Focus. What was that?
500 quid, yeah. Safe.
500 quid. Yeah, no, that's too much, bro. Bring it down.
Well, let's do this. It was the worst 6 months of my life. I will say that. It was horrific. Someone just had some faith in me this time last summer and threw me a bone and said, I want you to work for the Premier League. But that was years and years of grafting and being in the space all the time.
Welcome to Bleacher Report. I am your host, RamboFYI. I am joined by Alison Becker, and this is the 10-second challenge.
Initially, it was a dream job. I rocked up. Steven Gerrard was there on the 4th day I was there. I met him, I took a picture. I was like, I'm living the dream. No disrespect to any Ukrainian at all, but I hated the place. I was petrified for my life.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Now, something I've been wanting to do for a really long time is interview one of my good friends, RamboFYI. Now, I was thinking about how I'm going to introduce you, Rambo. I saw your bio on Instagram, presenter, your former YouTuber. I'm not sure if you still refer to yourself as a YouTuber, so I wanted to give you the chance to introduce yourself. How would you, describe it?
Cheap way of just getting yourself out of an intro. So I'd say I still create YouTube content, but it's only because it's lockdown, really. So I'd say presenter, host, sports enthusiast, can use all them kind of words. Obviously, I stream as well, but I wouldn't say I'm a streamer, and I'm definitely not an influencer. So I'm glad you didn't say that. Because
I know I know your story kind of in a tiny bit. So you started off on YouTube, and I think the whole goal for you was to eventually become a presenter. Was that the idea?
Yeah, sort of. I think when I started, I was like really keen on YouTube because when I started, like KSI was blowing up, and like the natural ambition was, can I be as big as KSI? Which obviously now, when you get into the space how big this guy is, you realize how almost impossible it is to even dream to be that big.
Have you had a moment where like it's felt like an against all odds moment, as in like you've had it tough and you've had to break through?
My whole YouTube career, like that's never easy. I started from zero. People forget that I started from zero.
And then as time went on, I realized like I'm a little older than a lot of the other people on YouTube, or I certainly was. Obviously, I still am now because I haven't got younger. I need a transition, and for me, it was presenting. I know I love sports, so I thought, how do I get into sports? How do I get into meeting players? That was the initial thing, and then I realized after about meeting 4 or 5 that. Actually, it's like meeting the players isn't even the cool part. The cool part is the lights, cameras, action. So that's how I landed here, basically.
Game week 4, and with 1 week until the international break, it's time to make them big decisions as the FPL table becomes a little clearer.
You mentioned that like when you started off on YouTube, you realized you were a lot older than everyone else that was doing it as well. I don't want to use the word intimidating, but did it put you off like a tiny bit?
I guess when you're younger, you're more fearless. There's less eyes on you. I've been to uni, worked in Germany, worked in Manchester, worked in London. So I was like 24, 23 when I hopped on YouTube. And you're seeing like 15, 16-year-olds who are like pulling pranks on their mum and stuff like that. When I was 15, 16, I could have probably done that. But when you're like a 23-year-old man, you can't be pranking your mum. Yeah. Like it's weird. It becomes weird.
So another thing I wanted to kind of touch briefly on is, you call yourself RamboFYI. Is there any story behind it?
To be fair, very limited amount of people know. But it really was like, I won't go into too much detail because it's quite a story in a lot of depth. But basically, I was playing football. Something happened on the pitch. I was about 14, maybe a bit younger. A bunch of like racist kids who were like, probably between the age of 15 and 18, but like chavs. If you don't know what a chav is, like just causes issues for no reason.
Okay.
And they're always in like little groups of them as well. And they just jumped on me after the game because I scored a penalty and shushed them. I have a tendency to have a bit of arrogance about me, especially on the pitch.
I can vouch for that.
And I'm a humble, arrogant person, I want to say. I claim to be the best YouTube footballer. I feel like I might be proving it today, to be honest. Basically, I woke up in hospital and my manager just said, oh, you look like Rambo, because I had like scars and all sorts all over my face. And then, fortunately for me, it worked out to be a real blessing because by that age, like in a much more darker sense, I hated the fact that people couldn't say my name properly because my real name's Nabeed. And people I would literally speak to people and tell them my name 6 times and they'd get it wrong. And up until the age of, me now, I'm super proud of being South Asian, but until the age of about 20, that was never the case. And Rambo almost like allowed that to happen when I went to uni and everyone started calling me Rambo, and Nabeed sort of like filtered into becoming, figuring out who I was.
Like, do you have any interest in bringing back your name, like, eventually?
It's funny you say that because I've just essentially bought the rights to my name on Instagram because someone was actually using my name, and it's someone who's followed me for a while. So someone's been following me and maybe thought at some point he might want to get a profile by his own name, and like made a profile, blank profile. So I just messaged them saying, and they were like, "Oh, hey, so good to hear from you, Rambo. I've followed you for years and years and blah blah." I was like, "Mate, give me the Instagram handle." And he was like, "Oh, I created it like to honor you." And I was like, "All right, safe, give it to me." And he was like, "It's gonna cost you." I was like, "What?"
Oh shit!
So I had to pay him a little bit. It wasn't a lot. Now that I'm getting married, it's even more strange. Calling myself, like, when people refer to me as Rambo and my fiance, wife to be, is like, that's just weird, man. It's just weird.
I can almost imagine. Also, you touched there briefly, you're getting married. I sent you a message before, but I just wanted to congratulate you as well.
Thank you, man.
That's sick, man. Congratulations and best for the future.
Thank you, bro. I'm gassed.
So yeah, 2018, bro. The World Cup, that's how we met. Obviously, if I remember, I'm gonna say my story, like, just, briefly, and then you can tell me how, like, from your perspective. So basically, I saw a tweet from Hugh Wizzy. I think he retweeted one of your tweets, and you were asking for people living in London to come out and watch the World Cup games with you, like help you film, that kind of thing. And the first game of the World Cup was Russia against Saudi Arabia. I'm like, yo, listen, this is sick. This is like meant to be, bro. Little did I know that we're gonna get beat 5-0.
Here comes a free kick. They have got a fifth.
So I reached out. You reached out to me. I think it was during Ramadan. We were both fasting. We went to some dodgy, like, shawarma place on Edgware Road. Literally, like, no one was there. And the guy was even, like, letting us film. Like, it was a shit day. But obviously, like, to this day, I tell people, like, genuinely, 2018, the summer of 2018 was one of my favorites, like, of all time. Yeah. Bro, like, you obviously had a big part in that. You got me to watch all these games with all these interesting people.
It's Kieran Trippier.
Knowing what you know now, what would you tell younger Rambo about all those things that he did?
First of all, worst summer ever.
Is it because you met me?
Yeah.
No, bro. I know you're jealous because I beat you in what was it, Billionaire Tycoon?
Yeah. Oh, bro, this is the maddest thing, right? It's honestly, we could make an entire 3-hour thing on that summer, but obviously, you said thanks to me, but also thanks to you, because that happened so randomly. We got to spend so much time with random people from, like, Colombia and Argentina, and going to really random corners of London to find fans. To your question, what would I tell younger me from what I know now to be a presenter? I think a lot of it is to do with mentality. So one of the things that I, like, really had to figure out for a while was, are there a limited number of people at the top, or people who succeed because of the amount of people who quit, or because of the lack of space? And I think what I realized over the years, just people quit. So many people come and go, and it's a lot about whoever's in the game will win the game in the end. The best advice I can give to the young me is you've got to live the experience, and no one's going to be able to tell you this is what's going to happen in 3 years' time and you're going to land there. It just takes its own time. There's always, like, this, like, perception that you have to make it when you're young, right? Like, if you're not making it when you're 22, 23, like, you're too late. One thing I would say, sorry to interrupt, if there's one bit of advice that I would say is I wish I started earlier, because now I'm 28, I'm naturally in this position now where, as I mentioned, I'm about to get married. I'm thinking at some point I'm going to have kids, I'm going to have my own house, my own finances, my own things and bills to pay for, and I'm a freelance presenter. If I had started doing this, who knows, but if I had started doing this 4 years earlier, 2 years ago, I might be in the position that I'm in now, so that in 2 years' time I'd be in a better position. You know that because you've lived your life up until now. In hindsight, obviously you can say, oh, I wish I started earlier. But do you think maybe, like, those 2 years that it took for you to decide to start your career, like, without them, you wouldn't be where you are today, if that makes sense? Definitely going to Germany was, like, the best decision of my life. It was the worst 6 months of my life. I will say that. It was horrific. Initially, it was a dream job. I rocked up. Steven Gerrard was there on the 4th day I was there. I met him. I took a picture. I was like, I'm living the dream. But some 2-3 weeks later, it was basically winter. It was like -2 degrees in the morning. I had no friends there. I don't speak the language. The city I lived in closed at like 6 in the evening. And typically people to socialize in Germany will drink, and I don't drink. There's lots and lots of things. But at the same time, I wouldn't have learned to be so determined to get over the line. I could have left that Germany job in 3 weeks, but I knew I had to get Adidas on my CV.
I want to take a quick side note, ask you a bit more about your YouTube career. You know, you started off kind of doing your own thing. I remember you doing like some like football challenges, that kind of thing. Eventually, I think you ended up on the. Did you end up in the hashtag series, the hashtag Academy series?
So I think I was in the first ever hashtag series, if I'm not wrong.
Nubaid Haroon, also known as Rambo.
I'm confident, as always. I personally don't think there's that many players that play my style of football, so let's see who can handle it today.
Just quickly says about my eviction. When I exited, that was the best I've played on the hashtag series. And so when I exited, everyone was shocked because everyone in our group was convinced I was going through, and I didn't go through. So I was actually livid that day. I remember my reaction was like quite petulant. I was young, but my reaction, I think I said to Seb something like, I must have said something like, it's the worst mistake you're ever going to make. And it put us on a...
Were you genuinely pissed at him? Like, was that
Yeah,
anger?
I was. Yeah, because to briefly go over it, we played an 11-side game between the two teams, and I played really, really well. And when it went out, I didn't look good at all.
Yeah.
And so I was like, wait, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
I think my team won that game 4-2 maybe, and I played right back and I got an assist, I think.
Plays it into Rambo. Rambo whips it into the danger area. Stamp maybe could have done better. It looked like he lost his footing a little bit.
And it was one of those, we came into the changing room, and you know when everyone's high-fiving each other on a trial day, and everyone's like, Rambo, you're through, man, you're through. And I was like, yeah, I am. I was like, I know I am. And we come line up, and my name didn't get called out. So I was really angry.
Yeah,
so I was like, I don't know what more I could have done. Plus I was playing through injury as well.
No, fair enough. You've moved on to bigger and better things. And one thing that you did move on to was RamboFYI. Obviously, Cal Freezy was the one that made the team. So was it him reaching out to you to join the team? Did you reach out to him?
I think I messaged him saying, I've heard you're making the team, because Josh Burnchip messaged me, or I'd spoken to him saying like, Cal's making the team, they need a right back. And so I messaged him we didn't know each other then, I don't think. Or maybe I got hold of his number or something like that. You know what I'm like. And I just messaged him saying, yo man, like, you're making a team, you need a right back, and I'm good. And they said after that, you're signed. And it started off as a YouTube football team, and almost like started to evolve. We didn't really know what we were evolving to, which is why I think it went wrong. Ultimately, I don't know why it went wrong, but that was my feeling, that we started off as a YouTube football team, had a lot of comedic characters, but YouTube football doesn't have a structure. So it's like, what are we going to do? Once we've played everyone, we either go and play the semi-pro teams and get slapped, or play the Sunday League teams and slap them, and we were just stuck in the middle.
One of the things I was looking at when I was watching back the RamboFYI series, obviously you got Rio Ferdinand involved. What was that like, having him be there?
So we turned up, we didn't know it was going to be Rio, I don't think, or maybe we did, I can't remember. We go into the changing room and he's just like chatting and laughing, like swearing at everyone, just causing banter. And then he gives a sheet, right? And he's like, put down a player's name that you think you play like. And everyone's gone pretty humble, to be fair. And for some reason, I'm a bit like Danny Alves. And everyone's like, oh! And I was like, nah. And it became like a thing where he was like, I need to see you getting up and down. And I'm playing for injury, even at that point. And I was like, oh, bro, I'm dead. I'm finished.
I was going to say, I remember one clip. Rio's just like, man, he's just having at you, bro.
In the clip, I think he says to me, Rambo, are you going to do anything yet?
Rambo! Tackle someone! Tackle, man!
Rio's a top guy. Probably one of the best footballers I've met in terms of the person, and obviously he was a good footballer as well.
Talking about footballers you've met, you filmed with some Arsenal players, Guendouzi, Xhaka, Ozil, Gary Lineker, Rio Ferdinand, just to name a few. Now, a bit of a controversial question. Was there anyone that was a bit of a dick? Any? Like, I'm trying to go for that, title thumbnail, bro. So help me out.
I'm trying to think who I didn't enjoy meeting. In all, genuinely, hand on heart. If I run through them quickly, Alisson is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. We still talk now on Instagram here and there. We went. He's just generally such a top guy. Gary Lineker, I talk to pretty frequently. Really nice guy. Rio, I talk to really frequently. Really nice guy. Xhaka, I've not spoken to since, but he was quite surprising. I didn't think I was going to enjoy Xhaka's company, and he's a really nice guy. He's quite funny as well.
Arsenal boys with me. Underrated, overrated. Very simple game. I'm going to tell the boys something, and they have to tell me whether they think it's underrated or overrated. Furry coats.
Overrated, come on.
Bro, please.
I don't like it.
Underrated, yeah.
underrated.
My God. Being completely honest, most footballers are really nice. The problem is the people in between. So we done a shoot at a club that I can't mention, but we done a shoot at this club and we had a time slot with one of their key players. And someone at the club just decided that day, you're not doing it. I'd just traveled from Senegal to do this shoot.
Wow.
And so I've come all the way back like 15 hours or whatever it was. And we turn up for a 10-minute slot with a player. And they're like, yeah, you're not doing it. We're going to give you these few players in the women's team. Now, no disrespect to the women's team, but on the platform that I was working for at the time, which was 433, we need to get views. And sadly, as sad as it is, the women's team just doesn't get as many views. And also, even if they gave us like a few of the other players in the men's team, they wouldn't have like achieved what this player would have achieved in terms of content and views. So yeah, they just pied him off saying he was busy. 2 minutes later, the guy walked right past me and he's not busy at all. And I was like, well, what is going on? Players that I've really disliked, I really can't think of one.
Okay.
I don't think I've not vibed with any players that I've met.
Yeah. To be fair, watching those videos back, I felt like the conversations you had with Rio specifically and Gary Lineker, those really, they were nice to watch. You know what I'm saying? Like it was, like I felt like a genuine conversation between people that knew each other.
Just quickly, the Rio thing. We met at Rebel, then I bumped into him at an event. I got his contact details and I literally hounded him to do this thing. So when we sat down at that point, we rock about BT Sport, right? And we're stuck in this little changing room. We've got about 30 minutes, but the producers come and knocked on the door for 15 minutes. Rio said to me, lock the door, so he couldn't come in. So we've locked the door on the producer so we could carry on filming. And so
what a legend.
It's a question you've never been asked, as in, is there something you'd love to be asked? You know, you might have something you really want to say, but no one's ever asked you.
Not for this.
Off air.
I'd love to give you a player that's a dick. There is one in mind, but if it goes out on video, I'm gonna lose my job for the Premier League, so I can't say it.
Oh, really?
I will tell you off camera.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd love to give you that title because I think it would bang. But the problem is,
I'm not trying to ruin your career, bro. All right, we'll do it off camera, and then I'll let you guys know. Don't worry. I'd imagine you get this question all the time. Like, I imagine your DMs are flooded with this question. How do I get into presenting? What advice can you give me? I mean, that smirk on your face, it tells me everything I need to know. So if you want to say like three pieces of advice, how to get into presenting.
How to get into presenting. The first thing I'd say is practice. I couldn't count on a million fingers how many videos I've done and binned straight away. And how many videos I've done and they've got like 12 views on YouTube that just sat on the private to remind me of how many videos I did to actually get to the point where I am. But it was just a practice thing. You got to practice. Because I'm not a born presenter. I'm from a place where we don't speak perfect English. We don't speak the Queen's English. And nor am I like the most educated guy in the world. Obviously, I've got a degree in things. But the second thing I'd say you should definitely do is be prepared to graft. I mean graft in the sense of there are going to be so many days where you will feel very underwhelmed about the amount of views you're getting or the amount of retweets you're getting, or even more so, the lack of favors bigger people are doing for you. I can honestly remember so many YouTubers that I would message saying, please check my video out, and they'd air me and I'd take it personally. And I'd say the third bit of advice probably is, and I hate to give this advice that almost makes you not want to do it, but it's very real advice. It's not going to happen overnight. Success is built in failure. It's not built on the days when you get loads of views, because what happens when you get loads of views in this sense in YouTube is you could get 10,000 views on this video, and I hope you do, but the next video you go get 100 views. The way you respond to that 100 views will make you the guy who ends up making it to wherever you want to go to. If your response to that 100 views is, sack this man, I need to go and like clickbait or whatever you find necessary to do, like there is no shortcuts. It's not going to happen overnight. Someone just had some faith in me this time last summer and threw me a bone and said, I want you to work for the Premier League. But that was years and years of grafting and being in the space all the time and doing a lot of work for free, which I know kids these days hate doing, to then eventually land the dream job at the Premier League.
Obviously, you starting out, like you said, you were hammering all these famous guys to see your content. What would your advice be in terms of let's say for me, right, I'm not big time or anything, but like, I won't really want this guy to see my video. Like, do you recommend that, or is it like a bad thing? What's your opinion on that?
I think, I mean, in all fairness to people like Hugh was one of the first people who shared my content, and now we're really good friends. Reeve the same. But I would say it's more detrimental for the way you think, rather than is it going to give you success? Because if Hugh shares your video or Reeve shares your video, it's all about the video really in the end. They can share it, but people might not click on it, and that's on you.
I remember one video I made. It was a really shit video back in the day. It was centered around the true Geordie, and I kept, like, every time he tweeted, I turned on the notification bell on his tweets just to, you know, be the first one to reply. I kept messaging him, like, see my, like, guys, watch my video. And then he sent me a DM. He's like, listen, like, stop messaging me. He's like, your video is shit. He literally shit. I was like, to be fair, when he first said that, I kind of took it personal. I was like, man, bro, I spent time making this video, and this is what he's telling me. But obviously, in hindsight, I completely agree with him. Like, the video was shit, don't get me wrong. I made it private or whatever. What he did say, which really kind of stood out for me, a good judgment on his personality towards, like, other creators. So he's like, listen, take your time, remake the video, and then send it to my Facebook page. I'll have a look, and then maybe we can, like, work something out. So the fact that he even said that was huge for me. I think you mentioned to me off camera, I think back in 2018, you said you'd love to be presenting a match of the day. Is that still the case, or did you change your mind? What is the dream job? The
dream the whole time since I decided to be a presenter is to have my own show, like more like a Graham Norton type show. If you don't know who that is, what's the geezer's name? Yeah, like a talk show host.
Like a Jimmy Kimmel,
Jimmy Kimmel, yeah, that's the geezer's name. Like that type of show where it's very candid and you can talk to people about whatever you want. I'd just love to be creating my own stuff in the sense of, like, me hosting the production team and things like that. But match of the day, I don't think I'd ever get that job because Gary Lineker, when he retires, is going to give it to Jermaine Genius, and he ain't going until he retires. So, it's going to be a long time till that job.
It's going to be 70-year-old Rambo just waiting in line. Huh?
Yeah. Don't think that's gonna happen.
Towards the beginning of this conversation, you talked about your name, Rambo, kind of like the reasons behind it. Now you're saying, and I can obviously tell through your content on Instagram, you're very proud of your South Asian heritage, and you always kind of advocate for more representation. This is going to be a very vague question, but what needs to change to get more, representation in that community?
I was just chatting to someone about this the other day. I think the first thing that needs to change is the tick box. And by that, what I mean is there isn't a tick box for South Asians where we're a part of BAME or whatever you want to call it. But really and truly, when people think of BAME, you probably think of, you say the word black and ethnic minority. What is ethnic minority? Do you know what I mean? Like that's a big group of people you just put in one pot. All that needs to happen is create something where you go, oh, South Asian. So that's what we need to do more of. There's lots of great things happening, of course. I'm very proud of like Marcus Rashford and Raheem Sterling, people who are creating opportunities for. I'm not going to say black and ethnic minority for black footballers, black coaches, black managers. All of that sort of stuff is incredible. And by no means do I say we have to decredit them to increase our awareness. Not all, but I don't see why the two don't exist in cohesion. Someone actually said it to me yesterday on a phone call. You probably don't eat cow. You don't eat beef. And I was like, no, that's Hindus. We're Muslims. And I was like, I can't believe it's 2020. You still ask me that question. Like, I understand. Obviously, I'm not saying everyone should know, but it's more that case of like, how many other people just go India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, all the same. I mean, just to clarify, India and Pakistan hate each other, and they all hate Bangladesh as well. So, and there needs to be some sort of, I guess, committee of people or people who discuss this on a regular basis in the South Asian community with the people who make the decision. Greg Clark just lost his job at the FA for some horrific comments. Jan Dander spoke about it after and said Greg Clark the way he spoke about South Asians doing IT jobs in 2020, he's saying that there's no South Asians in football because they're doing IT jobs is absurd. And that is part of the issue. So there's a lot of dinosaurs. A tick box needs to be created. And on our end, I'm not throwing this completely the other end. On our end, our parents need to allow us to do more. My parents have. My fiance's parents have. So it's not that that's not happening. But both things exist together. If there was a South Asian presenter on Match of the Day right now, I kid you not, I'd probably say to you, I could probably get a Match of the Day job.
There's definitely some similarities between the Middle East and South Asians in terms of like the upbringing and sort of like you mentioned that a lot of parents almost discourage you to get into these fields. And for me, like growing up, I'm like, who else is from Saudi Arabia doing what I want to do? So there wasn't really any inspiration. There's no like role models to look up to. So I completely agree to that. So we've been going on for like a little bit of time right now. I want to wrap it up with talking about some of the worst and best footballing moments you've had. So obviously you had the chance to be at some of those Liverpool games. I know you're a massive Liverpool fan. You've won the league last year. You've won the Champions League the season before. So I want to say, what was your worst footballing moment as a Liverpool fan, just throughout the years?
Went to the Champions League final when we lost to Real Madrid.
You did.
So we get flown over to Kiev, and I no disrespect to any Ukrainian at all, but I hated the place. I was petrified for my life. It was me, Manny, oh my god, Big Zoo, and a white lady, and we were walking through the streets and everyone stares at you because you're not like it's just weird to have you there, and I was just petrified the whole time. And then obviously the final happens, and Salah breaks his arm from a Ramos challenge, and we're on top of the game at that point, and we're buzzing. And at that point we'd met Vuj at the final as well, and a few others. People just kind of like bounced off each other, and the vibe was quite good actually. So for the whole trip, the vibe was awful, bro. I was eating bread every single day, and that was it. And the vibe and everything was just off. I hated being there. But then we get to the final, and the vibe's good, and we're in VIP, and the food was so good in VIP. It was like I'd waited for 3 days just to eat their food. And then obviously Karius drops it to Benzema, and it was like time stood still when that happened.
Balón para Benzema, se la queda Karius.
En el descanso.
Uy, ¿qué ha pasado? Ahí va Benzema.
Almost in the same game, the most surreal thing happens when Bale scores his overhead kick, and the overhead kick was just so underrated. It was ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Partido está en el filo de la navaja.
So that was definitely the worst moment. And funnily enough, the last game I went to was Atletico Madrid when Adrian gave it to Marcus Llorente. So them two.
I think Liverpool's trying to get you to realise, take the hint, bro. Don't show up to these Champions League games.
Actually, one of the other worst moments is I was in India, and Barca were playing Liverpool for the game that ended 4-0, and I got offered 2 tickets a week before, and because it took me so long to get my visa because I'm Pakistani, they wouldn't let me out the country for the game. So I couldn't go to the Barca-Liverpool game, and Liverpool won 4-0. So God. I was devastated. You
could have been there.
The day after, they let me home.
Oh, that's even worse, bro. That's like saying, oh, you could have made it, but we're just gonna like tease you with time.
Yeah.
All right, so transitioning to the other end, what was your best footballing experience?
There's two. The France-Argentina game in the World Cup, when Benjamin Pavard scored that goal.
I think did we film it together? I think we did.
Yeah, we did. We were in this like really small, dingy pub, and the roof was really low, and loads of nutty Argentinians, and we got space right in front of the door, right in front of the TV. Felt like we were actually witnessing it in Argentina, because there's all Argentina fans around us.
It was mad. It was absolutely mad. Yeah.
Personal moments, I want to say Liverpool-wise. I'm trying to think, like, a game that I really, really enjoyed was Liverpool beating Man City 4-3, Champions League, I think it was. Or it might be the league, actually, I can't remember. Salah scored from the halfway line. That was like some special night of football.
Last question I want to ask you. Who is the dream interviewee? Who do you really want to present with?
I would love to present with Gary Lineker.
For those of you saying I'm up Messi's arse, can I say what a wonderful arse it is? Come on, that's comedy gold, isn't it? It's beautiful up there.
And then someone I'd love to interview, you know, I love Fernando Torres. Love to sit and interview him and just chat to him about stuff. But he's Spanish, his English isn't that great, so I don't think he'd have a lot to say. So because of that reason, I'd probably say sit and love to chat football with Arsene Wenger. I
was just saying this, bro. 2 days ago, someone asked me if you can have like lunch with anyone in the world. I said Arsene Wenger. But why him? I
just think like he lived through an age of football where he doesn't get the respect he deserves for evolving the English game, and a lot of the English game still holds the things that Arsene Wenger brought to England. I'd just love to sit across him and just talk for hours about football, and to an extent not even really nitpick, just let him like wind him up and just go, now you just talk, I'm just going to sit here and listen.
I just want to thank you for this. I think just over an hour.
My pleasure, bro. Thank you.
There's plenty of content to pick from. So I want to obviously thank you for your time. Guys, you already know who Rambo is. Obviously, that's why you clicked on the video. Big up Rambo. Check out his stuff in the description below. Any last words? Anything you want to plug in?
I just want to say I'm so glad after the many conversations we had in 2018 that you're still creating content. And although you're ugly, I hope you absolutely smash it. And,
you know I'm not going to put that in a fucking video though. Thank you, bro. Best of luck, bro. Best of luck.
Thank you, bro. You too.